She used to roll her eyes every time he came home. Same routine. Same quiet voice. Same plain stories about some dull office job she could never quite understand. For 5 years, Olivia believed she married the most predictable man alive. Mark was safe. Boring, even. The kind of guy who alphabetized the pantry and scheduled date nights 2 weeks in advance. He wasn't the type to surprise her, not with roses, not with secrets. Or so she thought. But then came the night he didn't come home. His phone went straight to voicemail. No texts. No calls. Just silence. At first, Olivia assumed the worst, maybe an accident, maybe he got mugged on the train. Her mind ran wild with ordinary fears. But what followed was anything but ordinary. At 3:47 a.m., 3 black SUVs pulled up outside their house. Men in suits, real suits, with hard eyes and no smiles, pounded on the door. They didn't knock like neighbors. They knocked like they owned the place. "Is Mark Jensen here?" One of them asked, flashing a badge too quickly for her to catch the name. "Ma'am, we need to speak with your husband. It's urgent." That's when her stomach dropped. Because Mark had told her he worked in IT for a small tech firm. Nothing urgent ever happened at that job. No late nights. No national emergencies. Just lines of code and endless coffee. But this? This was something else. Something darker. The men wouldn't say more. Only that Mark had been compromised. That he might be in danger. That Olivia should stay inside, not speak to anyone, and wait for a phone call. Then they vanished, just as quickly as they came. No explanations. No answers. Just cold air and a deeper silence than before. The next morning, she did something she never thought she'd do. She went into Mark's locked study. The one room he always kept private, claiming it was just for work. Inside, she didn't find server logs or spreadsheets. She found documents in languages she couldn't read. A passport with a different name. Photos of men she didn't recognize, some crossed out in red ink. And a phone. A second phone. One that began to ring in her hand the moment she picked it up. That voice on the other end? It wasn't Mark. But whoever it was knew her name. Knew what room she was in. Knew everything. "Olivia," the voice said calmly, "you're not safe there." Now she's questioning everything. Every smile, every vacation, every "I love you." Was it all a lie? Or was Mark protecting her from a world she was never supposed to see? One thing's for sure, the truth about her husband's double life is more dangerous than she ever imagined. And this is only the beginning. Olivia stood frozen in the middle of the room, the second phone still pressed to her ear. Her heart was pounding so loud she could barely hear the voice on the other end. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. There was a pause. Then the voice said, "Someone who used to work with your husband. If you want to stay alive, you need to listen very carefully." Alive? The word hit her like a slap. She looked around the room again, trying to make sense of the photos, the fake passport, the military-style maps pinned to the back of the closet door. None of this belonged to the man she thought she knew. The man who made her tea when she was sick, who left sticky notes on the bathroom mirror with hearts drawn beside her name. But now, even those memories felt suspicious. Had he been pretending all this time? "Where is he?" she asked. "Is Mark alive?" The voice didn't answer directly. "There are people looking for him," it said. "Very powerful people. If they can't find him, they'll find you." Olivia's knees nearly gave out. She gripped the edge of the desk and sank into the chair. "Why me? I don't know anything." "That's exactly why you're a problem," the voice replied. "They think you know more than you do. And now that you've entered this room, You've become a part of it whether you like it or not. A cold shiver ran down her spine. Before she could ask more, the line went dead. Just a low beep. She tried to redial, but the phone demanded a password. She stared at the screen, then at the photo of Mark on their wedding day, framed on the wall just outside the study. Same face. Same eyes. But now, she wasn't sure who she'd really married. Olivia didn't sleep that night. She searched every inch of the study. She found flash drives. Old notebooks. Files marked with codes and acronyms she didn't recognize. She even found a single key wrapped in plastic with a hotel address scribbled on a post-it. A hotel she'd never heard of, miles away, in a part of the city they never visited. By morning, she had more questions than answers. Why had Mark kept this double life hidden for so long? What kind of job required him to fake his identity? And most importantly, what had he done that made these mysterious men show up in the middle of the night? Every time she thought about the black SUVs, her stomach turned. The look in those men's eyes, it wasn't just serious. It was urgent. Like something was unraveling, and Mark had been at the center of it. She tried calling his regular phone again. Still nothing. Then she checked his office contacts, co-workers, boss, even HR. But no one had ever heard of him. The company he said he worked for didn't even exist. That's when it truly hit her. The life she'd built for 5 years was based on a story. A very convincing one. But it wasn't real. Now, Olivia had to decide what to do next. Sit quietly and hope he'd come back. Or start digging into the truth herself, even if it meant stepping into the dangerous world her husband had worked so hard to keep hidden. What she didn't know was that someone was already watching her. And they weren't waiting for her to figure things out, they were counting on it. The next day, Olivia drove to the address on the post-it. It was a rundown hotel tucked behind a row of warehouses, barely visible from the street. No cameras. No staff at the front desk. Just a blinking neon sign that buzzed like it was tired of being alive. She gripped the key in her pocket, heart racing, every instinct screaming to turn back. But something inside her, something deeper than fear, kept her moving. Room 214. She paused outside the door, then slid the key into the lock. Inside, the room looked untouched for years. Dust on the furniture. Faded curtains. But on the bed sat a black duffel bag. Carefully placed. Like it was waiting for her. Olivia stepped closer and opened it. Inside were stacks of documents, bundles of cash, a gun she didn't dare touch, and another phone. This one was already powered on. No lock screen. Just a single message displayed: "If you're reading this, I'm already gone." Her breath caught. It was from Mark. The message continued: "I never wanted you to be part of this. I thought I could keep you safe. But things changed. If you found this, it means the cover's blown. You're in danger now. Trust no one, not the agency, not the voice on the phone, not even the police. I'll come for you if I can. But if I don't, run." She read it twice, then again. Her hands trembled. He had lied about everything. And yet, it still sounded like the man she knew. Always calm. Always calculated. But what did he mean by, "not even the agency"? Wasn't that who he worked for? Wasn't that who sent the men in suits? Later that night, Olivia got a visit she didn't expect. A woman in a gray coat appeared at her doorstep, mid-30s, with tired eyes and a badge she didn't show for long. "Name's Erica," she said. "We need to talk." Erica claimed she used to be Mark's handler. His contact when he was deep undercover. According to her, Mark hadn't worked for the government in over a year. He'd gone rogue after uncovering a classified operation tied to something called Project Signal, an internal surveillance program gone bad. She said Mark had stolen files, vanished, and now both sides, the agency and the people funding the operation, wanted him silenced. "Think your husband's boring now?" Erica asked quietly. "He's holding secrets that could bring down men sitting in very high places. You're a liability to them. And so am I." But Olivia wasn't ready to trust her either. Erica had too many answers. Her timing was too perfect. And the calm way she spoke about death, about disappearing, made Olivia uneasy. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the city, another figure was tracking her every move. A man in a dark coat, unmarked vehicle, no license plates. He watched from a distance, taking photos, speaking into a comm device. "She has the bag," he said. She opened the room. "She's in it now." "Good," a voice replied through the earpiece. "Let her lead us to him." Olivia didn't know it yet, but she was the bait. And the trap had already been set. The next few days were a blur of paranoia and silence. Olivia barely slept. She kept the curtains closed, the lights off, and the duffel bag hidden beneath the floorboards in the guest room. Every knock at the door made her flinch. Every passing car made her heart pound. She didn't know who to trust anymore, and that included herself. The second phone buzzed only once. A number she didn't recognize. She let it ring. Then a text followed. "They're watching. Leave now. You have 1 hour." No name. No follow-up. Just a message that confirmed her worst fear: she wasn't alone. She didn't pack much. Just essentials, the cash, and the phone. She left her wedding ring on the nightstand, half out of anger, half out of heartbreak. Whatever life she had with Mark was gone. Replaced by shadows and secrets. She didn't even know if he was still alive, or if someone else was using his voice to control her steps. She drove to a remote motel outside the city. No ID required. Cash only. Just as the text instructed. There, she waited for hours in silence until the phone rang again. It was Mark. Or at least, it sounded like him. "Liv, listen to me. I don't have time. I'm close, but you're not safe. They think you have something I took. You don't, but they don't care. They're coming for you." She choked back a sob. "Where are you?" "I can't say. Just trust me. There's a man, Nathaniel Greer. If he finds you, you're done. Don't talk to anyone. Not even Erica. She's not who she says she is." The line cut out. Now Olivia was completely alone, and more confused than ever. Erica had warned her about Mark. Mark had warned her about Erica. Both claimed to be helping. Both had pieces of the truth. But none of it added up. Later that night, someone tried to break into her motel room. She saw the shadow under the door, the knob turning slowly, the faintest creak of footsteps. She didn't scream. She grabbed the gun from the duffel bag and waited. But the intruder never came in. They left a note instead. Slipped under the door. No envelope. Just one sentence in block letters: "Meet me at the train yard. Midnight. Come alone." She nearly threw it away. But something told her this was it, the moment where everything would either come together or fall apart completely. The train yard was abandoned. She remembered driving past it years ago. Now, it was a place for broken things. Empty cars. Silence. Ghosts. She drove in darkness, heart pounding, clutching the bag like it was her last piece of solid ground. She didn't see the car following her. Didn't notice the drone overhead. Didn't realize that this meeting, whoever it was with, would be watched, recorded, and reported back to people with more power than she could imagine. When she stepped out onto the gravel, The wind was sharp, the air thick with tension. Somewhere beyond the shadows, a figure waited. Not moving. Just watching. Then, another. And another. It wasn't a meeting. It was a trap. And she had walked straight into it. Olivia stood frozen on the gravel, heart hammering in her chest. The figures in the distance didn't move, but she could feel their eyes on her. Every second felt longer than the last. The cold wind whispered through the rusted train cars like a warning. She clutched the bag tighter, trying to steady her breathing, trying to decide, run, speak, or wait. Then, a familiar voice cut through the night. Liv. Don't move. She turned sharply. Mark stepped out from behind an abandoned railcar, hands raised, eyes scanning the darkness. He looked nothing like the man she remembered. Scruffy, leaner, dressed in black tactical gear. His face had the same softness in the eyes, but the rest of him looked like someone who hadn't slept in days, or weeks. "Why did you come here?" she asked, barely managing the words. "I needed you to believe I was gone. I couldn't let them track me through you," he said quietly. "But I saw the motel. The note wasn't from me." She looked past him, toward the figures who were still standing in the shadows, unmoving. "Then who are they?" Before he could answer, floodlights exploded to life across the train yard, flooding everything in blinding white. Olivia raised her hands instinctively. Mark grabbed her wrist and pulled her behind the nearest car. "They're not agency. They're private," he said through gritted teeth. "Black contracts. The kind you don't read about." Bullets tore through the metal beside them. Olivia dropped the bag. Mark dragged her down, shielding her with his body. "They want the drive," he whispered. "It's not the money. It's the truth I took from Project Signal. Names. Faces. Accounts. All of it." She gasped. "That was in the bag?" He shook his head. "It's in you." She stared at him, confused. "What are you talking about?" "I stored the encryption key in your voiceprint," he said. "Your voicemail. That's why they've been following you. That's why you can't trust anyone. You're the only one who can unlock it." Before she could process the shock, they were surrounded. The figures moved in, black gear, faceless masks, silent. A helicopter roared overhead. Olivia grabbed Mark's hand, but something didn't feel right. He wasn't looking at her. He was watching the figures close in with a strange calmness. And then, Erica stepped out from behind one of the men. Unarmed. Smiling. But not at Olivia. At Mark. "I told you she'd lead us to you," she said. Mark's eyes darkened. Olivia's knees weakened. "Erica," Olivia breathed. "You said." "I said whatever I needed to," Erica interrupted smoothly. "You were never the target. Not at first. But you've become very useful. And now, we have both of you." Mark turned to Olivia, regret etched into every line of his face. "I'm sorry. I tried to keep you out of it." The soldiers closed in. The lights pulsed. And somewhere, far off, a timer was counting down. Because this wasn't just about secrets anymore. It was about power. About betrayal. And someone wasn't going to make it out alive. The lights burned hot on Olivia's face. The masked men stepped in, weapons raised but not firing, yet. Erica moved slowly toward them like she already knew how this would end. Olivia's mind spun. She could barely hear Mark's voice whispering beside her. "There's one last chance," he said. "But you have to trust me." Before she could answer, Mark stood up, hands raised high. "I'll give you what you want," he called out. "The drive. The files. But you let her go." Erica laughed softly. You're not in a position to bargain, Mark. You still haven't cracked the encryption, he said calmly. And you never will without her. So either she walks away, or this all goes up in smoke. From his jacket, Mark pulled out a small device, a dead man's switch. Thumb resting on the button. Erica's smile vanished. She froze. Is that the trigger? She asked. Mark nodded. It's wired to send the full data set to every major media outlet and intelligence agency in the world. You kill me, the truth goes public. Erica's jaw clenched. She hesitated, and that was enough time for Olivia. In one sharp motion, Olivia grabbed the dropped bag, swung it hard, and knocked the nearest soldier off balance. Mark used the moment to tackle another, and in the chaos, the lights flickered out again. Gunfire erupted. Screams echoed across the yard. Olivia ran, heart racing, ducking behind railcars, searching for Mark in the madness. She could hear the helicopter rising, the sound of retreating boots, and Erica shouting commands. Then silence. A moment later, Mark found her behind a rusted-out boxcar, bleeding from a gash on his shoulder. We have to finish this, he gasped. She nodded. Tell me what to do. He handed her the phone, the one with the voiceprint key. Say the phrase I left on your old voicemail. She took a breath. Mark, this is Liv. I miss you. Please come home. The phone beeped. A green light flashed. Then a low hum. Mark's device connected. A loading bar appeared. And just like that, the entire stolen data package began uploading to a secure satellite link Mark had hidden for months. Project Signal. Names. Operations. Proof. It was out of their hands now. You just exposed them all, Olivia whispered. But just when they thought it was over, a single gunshot rang out. Mark staggered. Behind him stood Erica, arm raised, pistol in hand, eyes full of rage and disbelief. You think you've won? She spat. You think truth matters? They'll bury this. Like they bury everything. But before she could fire again, a second shot cracked through the air, and Erica dropped. From the shadows, a man stepped out. Older, gray-bearded, wearing a faded agency jacket. Not this time, he said. Mark collapsed into Olivia's arms. Breathing. Barely. The man knelt beside them. I was Mark's first handler. We've been tracking Erica's unit for years. She was never working for the agency. She was hired by something darker. Olivia stared, stunned. So this was, all real? He nodded. And thanks to both of you, now the world knows. Mark smiled faintly. Told you I wasn't boring. She laughed through her tears. But just as the ambulance pulled up, and sirens filled the night sky, Olivia's phone buzzed again, a new message from a blocked number. The truth was only phase 1. Now the real hunt begins. She looked at Mark, who was slipping into unconsciousness, and realized this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The ambulance doors shut behind them with a metallic thud. Olivia sat beside Mark, clutching his hand as they sped through the night. He was stable, but weak. The paramedics worked in silence, their expressions tense but focused. She couldn't stop staring at him, this man she thought she knew, who had lived a double life, who had almost died trying to protect her. All the lies, the secrets, the hidden truths, they all led to this moment. And despite the pain, the fear, and the betrayal, she didn't regret following him into it. By morning, the world had changed. News reports broke in waves. Secret files. Government operations. Whistleblowers. Project Signal was everywhere, on screens, in papers, in protests. The shadowy network Erica worked for was being hunted now. Some were arrested. Others vanished. Mark's name wasn't mentioned in any report, but that was the plan. His part was always meant to stay buried. Only Olivia knew the full story. In the hospital, days passed slowly. Mark recovered one breath at a time. She stayed by his side, reading to him, making jokes, watching him sleep. When he finally opened his eyes, his first words were, "You saved me." She smiled. "You saved me first." Later, over coffee in the hospital courtyard, they sat in silence. For the first time in weeks, there was peace. Not complete, never complete, but enough to breathe. "So what happens now?" Olivia asked. Mark sighed. "They'll watch me for a while. Maybe try to pull me back in. But I'm done. No more missions. No more secrets. I just want to live. With you." Her heart ached. But that message, the one at the end. "The real hunt begins?" He nodded. "It means someone out there didn't like what we exposed. There's more. Always more. But we don't have to chase it. Not now." She thought about all they'd been through. About Erica, and the lies, and how close she came to losing herself in the chaos. But she also thought about truth, how dangerous it can be, and how powerful. She looked at Mark, bruised and scarred, but finally real. Finally honest. "I don't need adventure," she said softly. "Just honesty. That's enough." He reached for her hand. "Then that's what I'll give you." Weeks later, they moved to a quiet town by the coast. No more encrypted phones. No more dead drops or mysterious calls in the middle of the night. Just late mornings, good coffee, and the occasional walk by the water. Sometimes they talked about the past, but mostly, they focused on now. Olivia kept the duffel bag, empty now, tucked away in the closet. Not as a memory of what they survived, but as a reminder of what trust can survive. Love didn't come easy, not with betrayal, not with danger, but it had a way of finding its way through. And even though the world would never know what they truly stopped, or how close things came to falling apart, Olivia did. And that was enough.